For more on this, California's got a new lawsuit against the Trump administration over the deployment of National Guard troops in Los Angeles. Let's bring in California Attorney General Rob Bonta. Mr. Attorney General, what exactly are you stating in this suit, and how effective do you think it can be at a moment like this?
Well, thank you for having me this morning. The Trump administration is involved in a unlawful power grab that is dangerous and reckless, that threatens to inflame and provoke and the tensions and to make things worse, and is counterproductive. And by the way, it's also unlawful for the president to call in the National Guard, trying to usurp and override the authority of the actual commander-in-chief of the California National Guard, Governor Gavin Newsom. The president relies on a statute that does not give him the authority to call in the National Guard. It requires cooperation by the governor, which he does not have. It requires the existence of an invasion or a rebellion or the inability to execute the federal law, none of which are present. So we've asked the court to invalidate his calling in and deployment of the National Guard. These are hardworking men and women, patriots who want to serve their country. They are political pawns, unfortunately, who are being disrespected and manipulated by the president. And it is wrong, it is dangerous, and yes, it's unlawful as well.
So, Mara, there's been many who have expressed concern. This is almost like a dry run for President Trump deploying the military on American streets, that there'll be other reasons, perhaps even the midterm elections, in which he might do that again. But setting that aside, just focusing on the here or now, there are real concerns here that the presence of these military officers, that we've been hearing all morning long and all week long, is they're the ones actually, whether they mean to or not, they're the ones provoking a lot of the tension, provoking the response, because it is so unsettling to see heavily armed members of the military on the streets of an American city.
Well, this isn't just an escalation. This is the president of the United States inventing a crisis that then allows him to put military force on the streets of an American city. And it's a test of not only our legal system, but of how Americans and governors, state attorneys general, and just ordinary people are going to respond, whether we respond or not. You know, the executive memorandum that the White House laid out on Saturday also was disturbing, because it not only cited violence as from protesters, which has been minimal, by the way, as a grounds to use troops on the ground, but also any action that inhibits law enforcement, which is extraordinarily broad. So I think this is a test case for what we might see, sadly, and I hope not, in other American states and cities. This isn't just about California. California is first because obviously this is a state run by Democrats. And it provides the kind of political theater that Donald Trump wants. We have black, brown, and white Americans protesting out in the streets, flags from different countries, as well as this country. And that is exactly the theater that the president wants. It's actually not clear what legal grounds he's using, since he hasn't invoked the Insurrection Act under the Posse Comitatus Act of 1878 that limits the use of troops on American soil. And so, you know, then I think there's just a tragedy of, you know, having Americans who have signed up to serve the military, to protect this country, who took an oath to the Constitution, actually being brought on the streets to police other Americans. The 2nd Battalion, 7th Marines was the same unit that was in Okinawa. This is not how these troops are supposed to be used, and it is devastating for everybody.
So, Mr. Attorney General, let's get your reaction to this idea of what you're seeing now on the streets, but also your fears what may be to come in the days ahead as more troops arrive potentially. The president has, he posted on Truth Social just a few moments ago saying this was the right thing to do, and he criticized local leaders for not doing more. He doesn't seem to be backing down.
Yeah, this is a manufactured crisis, an artificial controversy, and that's what the president wants. Unfortunately, he wants the confusion, he wants the chaos. It seems that he wants things to explode, because that will give him the excuse that he wants to try to seize more power, which is his MO. Besides having a very complicated relationship with the truth, being a hypocrite, he is on an ongoing mission to seize more power that is not his, and we will not allow that. We think it's very important that protesters continue to be peaceful, safe, lawful. The supermajority of those involved have been exactly that. Unfortunately, when you see peaceful protests, you also see folks who participate and see this opportunistically and use the peaceful protest as a cloak for their criminal actions. And that is unfortunate. Those people must be arrested and held accountable for any criminal activity. They are undermining the democratic expression of the First Amendment by those who are peacefully protesting. But I have encouraged, and I continue to encourage, and I will encourage again now, all of those who are not happy with their government, who want to lift up their voices, to do so consistent with their First Amendment, but do so peacefully only, safely only, and lawfully only. That is absolutely critical as we move forward. But this is a president who we have sued 25 times in 20 weeks, more than once a week, because that's how blatantly, brazenly, consistently, and frequently he has broken the law. He's broken the law again here. He does not have the authority to call in the National Guard. He is trying to provoke, inflame, and escalate. And in California, we want peace and calm. That's what we're asking for, and that's what we're going to accomplish.
You mentioned, Mr. Attorney General, the many different lawsuits. Are they not effective? And in terms of this suit that's been filed, what's next in the legal process? And how important is it that this lawsuit is successful?
Our lawsuits have been very successful. We bring cases based on the facts and the law. If all we have is political grievance or ideological or policy difference, we can't sue and we won't sue. A court will throw us out. When there have been orders issued in our cases, we have largely secured restraining orders and preliminary injunctions in which the court says you're likely to win this case. You're right on the merits. And something like the president trying to rewrite the Constitution with a stroke of the pen on day one, trying to revoke birthright citizenship, a time-honored and Supreme Court-supported constitutional right, is obviously something he can't do. He acts unlawfully, and he does it blatantly. It's very important that we win this case, that we show that the president's authority, it does not exist here, and that he's trying to use power that he does not have and that belongs to the governor of California, not to the president. We believe that a court will find that. Our case is strong, and we hope to get an order in short order declaring that. And I think when it's clear that the governor is in charge here, not the president, and the president has no statutory authority here, we'll get back to keeping the peace with the Sheriff's Department of Los Angeles, the largest sheriff's department in the nation, the LAPD, the third largest police department in the nation, who, within their own resources and any mutual aid, have things well under control and can avoid the escalation and provocation that the president, through his unlawful insertion into this, into the events here in LA, has caused.
Mr. Attorney General, on a separate topic, another one actually that the White House feels like is politically beneficial to them. California sued the U.S. Department of Justice yesterday over its demand that local school districts ban transgender youth from competing in sports. We see the headline there from the LA Times. Walk us through the rationale for this lawsuit. Why is it important for your state?
Well, it's important not just for our state. It's important for rights and freedoms that the Constitution gives, that statutes give to Americans. And the president and the presidential administration have a very difficult relationship with the law. The president has said, I'm not an attorney, and that couldn't be more clear. His grasp of the law is very poor, and he has demanded that we violate the constitutional rights and the statutory protections of Californians in this demand, and that's something we will not do. We refuse to do. We will stand up for and defend the rights, the freedoms of Californians, including transgender Californians. We will not discriminate against them. We will follow the law. That's our North Star. And if necessary, as is necessary here, we'll go to court to vindicate those rights and protect those freedoms for Californians who deserve that protection.
California Attorney General Rob Bonta, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And it's certainly a very busy time for your office and your state.
Thank you.
And certainly, we know here that the President of the United States made this issue a significant one during his reelection campaign last year, successfully so. But we've heard from the Attorney General, other Democrats, that it's simply about preserving someone's rights. And this is not a topic going away anytime soon.